Oh my gosh, this is awesome. We are here on the number one free GovCon training, episode two, series two. I am here with my special guest, Randall Wimmer, my business partner and government contracting mentor. I joined Randall's group, Government Contracting Academy, 3 years ago? We might even be coming up on probably three. We might be coming up on four. Holy cow. I've had the opportunity, the gift to have one-on-one Randy or conversations with Randy for that entire time, right? And we've been able to speak about a lot of stuff outside of scope, just general conversation, and that is key. That's a segue to what we're talking about in the series. Randy knows information that is not available, that is not publicized, that's not put out in the general internet, the not online. Randy has insight you won't hear in other places, right? And I've heard that myself, and I am confidently sharing this with my audience and everybody
Okay.
that's
Well, no, that's quite the build up here, buddy.
awesome.
Now,
Yeah.
I've got to say something smart, and that's hard for me to do.
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh.
I'm frequently not. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, as my grandfather used to say. But but yeah, I appreciate the introduction. I tell you what, the deal is yeah, I do have insights that a lot of folks don't have, and the reason why is because unless you've done it, unless you've learned the hard-learned lessons, unless you stepped on that landmine over there, you don't know it's there. You really don't. And the reason why, and it's not people's fault, this industry lacks training for small business. It totally does. There's not a single MBA program that supports the federal government contracting industry. There's MBA programs that specialize in anything you'd ever possibly want. Sports medicine MBAs, automotive MBAs, entertainment industry, hospitality industry MBAs, technology MBAs, consulting MBAs, finance MBAs, whatever you want to do, there's an MBA that specializes it, with the exception of the world's largest customer, the federal government contracting industry, which is kind of crazy. But that's how much out of favor federal government contracting, has fallen. So, and that's why I'm really excited about what we're doing, trying to create a little bit of energy and excitement about what I consider to be the absolute best industry for first-time entrepreneurs, second-time entrepreneurs, third-time entrepreneurs, but especially for first-time entrepreneurs, because there's about that much difference between what you need to know to be successful in federal government contracting industry and any other business, but it's just that little bit that eliminates 95% of your competition, because 95% of U.S. companies aren't willing to learn that much knowledge. And again, it's not an effort thing. It's they don't know where to learn it. They have no access to learn this much additional knowledge that you need for federal government contracting. And the deal is this industry is counterintuitive. There's a lot of stuff here because you're dealing with the federal government. It's unique. That's different than other markets. It really is. You could have a scratch for your customer's itch, but you need more than that in the federal government contracting industry. That's all you need in the commercial sector, is a scratch for a customer's itch. Here you need a contract. You need a contracting mechanism, and that's more important than having a really good scratch in many regards.
Oh my gosh. Uh, yeah. So we spoke a little bit before
Mm-hmm.
starting this series now, and you mentioned AI. You and I haven't we've talked about it a bunch in our private conversations, but we haven't publicly discussed that, and it's super interesting. And um yeah, yeah, actually, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. I personally haven't scoped it out that much. I have a general awareness of what's possible and maybe how it could be applied, but not really. You have a ton more thought into this, the strategy into this. I'm curious to hear how would Randall Wimmer apply artificial intelligence to his government contracting strategy?
Well, I will say this. I started getting this question a lot about a year ago when Chat GPT was coming out, and everybody's thinking like, "Oh my gosh, AIs can write my proposals." And
Solve
my first,
everything. Yeah.
yeah, like my first inclination is like saying like, "Yeah, okay, there's no such thing as a free lunch," And then I started researching, and I really started researching. And I'm very fortunate to have had a son graduating from Berkeley in computer science, during this time frame too. And I used to ask this guy, he was taking machine learning and artificial classes at, Berkeley, the #1 computer science school in the country. So I was kind of getting his insights about this. And I quickly realized that we are downplaying AI as a society. AI will have the same level of impact as the internet has had on our society. And we're just in that early ages of it right now. To go back to the internet, I'm talking about, the early and mid 90s where you got mail, that, and everybody was all excited, but they were thinking like, well, yeah, but this is just a gimmick. It's not going to last, or it's really not going to have that much of a profound impact on society. That's what we were all thinking. And
as they ride away in their horse.
Yeah. But I think a lot of us, myself included, man, we were profoundly wrong. We were like wrong. Artificial intelligence, I think, has that same level of magnitude potential to change our society. And like I said, I've done a ton of research into this thing, but it's not if it can, it can, but it's whether or not you apply it in a way that it's meant to be applied. And what do I mean by that? There are certain things that our artificial intelligence will do, and it will do very, very well, just like automation. It's just like robotics on an assembly line. Once you have an assembly line down, and once you have that design that's optimized for an assembly line, robotics, in your assembly line is the best thing since sliced bread. But you know what robotics is not going to do? It's not going to design the car. Robotics is not going to, design a process that's going to optimize its own utilization. It's not going to do those things. But what it can do, boy, it can punch holes and drill things, and it can apply a fender to a car pretty damn quickly and, ineffectively, and better than humans can. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't need to rest. It's like laser precision. It never shows up on a Monday hungover. It just does its job and does it very well. And AI is the same way. But the deal is people are asking AI to do things that it wasn't designed to do. And everybody jumped to the things like AI can write. Wow. AI can write. AI can knock out the hardest aspect of being a federal government contractor, which is proposal writing. That's how you win work. So AI can do it for me. Now it's easy. Well, I wish it was that way. AI will not write your proposal. Fact. I'm going to tell you that right now. It never will be able to. Never, ever, ever will be able to. I take that back. It can do it right now, but it'll never be able to outperform a human being in writing a proposal. Why? Because there's strategy in that. Now, you could say, well, computers can beat people in chess now, and that's strategy. Well, the difference between chess and proposal writing is there's actually a finite number of moves and counter moves that can be done, and now a supercomputer can run through all of those variations that quickly. That's what it does. It dumbs it down. It's like saying, like, okay, you move here. Let's see about the gazillion different move potentials and variations of that. And now we have computers that are so fast that they can actually compute all the outcomes of all these randomly generated, potential moves. There's an infinite number of ways you can write a proposal. It's just truly infinite.
There's no barrier.
There's no, there's a set of rules with chess. You have you have each piece can only move certain ways. The board is only so big, and they can only move in certain directions, and there are all kinds of rules and parameters that allows, and convert. The word converge is a big deal for machine learning. Can it actually converge on an answer? Because if you have an unlimited number of possibilities, it'll never converge. And that's what proposal writing is. It will never converge on the solution. So it'll never outperform a person, in my opinion, writing a proposal. Now, I think way down the road, it'll get pretty good at it. But now it can't. It can't even, can't even come close. Now, the deal is, I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of people who get fooled between a well-written proposal that's grammatically correct and it uses good prose and etc., and a well-scored proposal. Completely different things. Well-written means it follows the rules of grammar. You know what I mean? It uses proper flowing phrases and it's got good sentence structures and good paragraph designs and all of that kind of stuff. To score really well on a proposal, you have you have two major categories. Well, actually three. You got to be compliant with whatever the government asks for in the RFP. That's the easy part. The second thing is you got to mitigate your risk of performance. That's hard, because how does AI know what risk is? You know what I mean? Like, how does it know all the different ways that I can fail, or how do they think that I'm going to be able to be lower risk in another company that may be bigger? And then the final thing is how do you connect the dots to show that you're adding additional value than what was asked for? Think about what I just said. It wasn't even asked for, but you're providing additional value in areas that wasn't even asked for. You got to know it's relevant, and AI can't do that. So now that's so people are going to be tricked by the idea that AI can write the proposal for them, because they'll ask they'll ask for, say, hey, write this 15-page section proposal, and it'll produce something. It'll produce 15 pages, and it'll be it'll read well, but it'll score terribly. So you're going to have this, and I see it right now. There's a growing surge of number of bids that are coming out of AI produced proposals, and the deal is now, because of that, it makes your understanding of how to write an effective proposal even more important than what it was. So
went up a little bit higher.
The bar has went up, because now, instead of having, like, for example, my very first prime contract award, there were 6 other bidders. Now there's going to be 16. There's going to be 10 other bidders that are going to create an AI produced proposal that's going to read really well. So what that's going to do is that's going to force the source selection board to focus even more on their grading rubric and less on how well does it sound. Now they're going to be asking very specific questions, because they've got whatever they decide has got to stand up to the scrutiny of a GAO protest, a Government Accountability Office protest, where you've got to say, prove to me that they won. Tell me your process on how to score this proposal, and prove to me how that company won the award and this one didn't. Prove to me, using your own rubric, your own processes, why that one won and that one didn't. So it's causing the source selection boards to really tighten up on how they evaluate it. So and now
that's like a legally sound argument, and I'm
absolutely.
going off of, that's interesting. That was significant in my mind. Like, it's a different perspective.
Absolutely. Everybody puckers up when GAO gets involved, and everybody can lodge a GAO protest. Anybody. So if you lose and you don't think that the government followed their own rules in making the award determination, then you can lodge a protest, and that the GAO has 100 days to figure out what the hell happened. They have to adjudicate within 100 days, and they always take 99. They'll release their findings on the 99th day. Well, whether it took them 2 days or 99, and they'll release on the 99th day. And what that does is now they're in the government's skivvies. Prove to me, and so no government person, no government source selection board, wants to go through that level of scrutiny without having their act together. So it's very important. Now, I just told you the bad news about AI, and I didn't tell you any of the good news. AI can streamline and perform man weeks of work that you need to do in order to follow your proposal writing process. And I have an example here. If you don't mind me sharing my screen, what I'll do is I'll show you my example, and you can actually see, share screen, what I'm talking about. Let's go entire screen, boom. And I suspect that, okay, let me go Word. Let's see. Oh, wait, AI example. So what I did is I did this as a study. Like,
it's not sharing yet, or I haven't seen it on my side.
Do you have to do something that you? Okay, so you've done
Nope.
everything that you've done. Oh, okay, because I didn't click on it. That's why. I have to
Nice.
be smarter than the technology.
We'll get some AI for that.
Yeah. How about now? Can you see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what I did is I created a case study, and this case study, I wanted to see just how well AI could do. And what I did is I created, and this is actually part of a proposal that I was collaterally involved in, meaning like I was kind of aware of these organizations, but not to the point where, I was familiar enough with them to where I could have influences one way or the other. So, so I created a case study where we were going to do risk management support services for an office called PEO Ships that fell within NAVC 04. Yeah, NAVC is Naval Sea Systems Command, and I think 04 is like their maintenance and engineering department. So risk management is obviously really important with that. So and we have a 3 pages that we determined that we need to write to do the risk management, to provide our risk management solution. So what I did is I wrote about 3 minutes worth of prompts in ChatGPT, and and I gave it things like I told it to, hey, we needed to have a risk management proposal. I threw in some fake people as key personnel. I threw in a little bit of a timeline. I throw in the fact that we had certain qualifications, and it wrote a well-written 3 pages. It reads really well. Like look what we have here. We actually have, first of all, it's grammatically correct and it reads really well. Our risk management methodology is structured to provide thorough coverage and deliver measurable results. This 5-phase approach ensures a systematic and effective implementation of risk management practices. And then it goes on, we have it provided us a 5-phase, solution. And each one of the phases are nicely defined. Like I said, it's very well read. It's not bad. It was smart enough to highlight our team qualifications and experience. Here's a little bit about our implementation timeline. Reporting and communication is always important. And it even included quality assurance. Now, we may have prompted that by saying that we were both ISO 9001 and ISO 31000 compliant. And it just, like I said, it was a well-written proposal. But here's the deal. It would score ridiculously low. Ridiculously low. So now, instead of asking it to write the proposal, which is what I did way up here, through a series of prompts, what I did is I decided I was going to take a different strategy. I'm going to say, well, I'm going to use my current proposal writing strategy and my proposal writing processes and templates, and I'm going to use AI to help me with that.
I apologize for jumping in. Why would it score low as is?
Well, let's talk about this. Let's just assume that this right. Well, I tell you what. Ask me that same question once I show you the difference between what it can do for you in the art. When I use it as part of my proposal writing process. Well, actually, you know what? That's not a fair. You asked a really good question. You know what? I'm going to answer that question. Let me answer that question right now. Let me see if I can actually find a slide that does that. Because,
on my side, I don't have enough experience for that stuff I don't have $2 billion worth of experience to highlight it out. So I'm reading it and it looks decent.
Yeah, it does. Well, okay. So this right here, this is a summary. This is a government slide. This is not my slide. This is a summary of how they actually score proposal. So let's just take a look at this thing. Most people don't even know how their proposals are being scored. It's the honest truth. Most people they don't understand that after everything is done, this is ultimately your scorecard. this is what it's going to result in. This right here is my first company, Inlick Strategies. I no longer own it, so I kind of, go through the formality of redacting the name because I don't want to share any information about a company I no longer own. But that was my first company, and this was for a $65 million contract that we won. So this was part of our debrief. And win, lose, or draw, the government will provide you a debrief of your proposal, of how it was scored, what they liked, what they didn't like, what they considered to be your strengths, what they considered to be your weaknesses. And what they'll do is they'll compare your score with the winning company's score. Since we won it, it was only our score. But usually, had we lost, there would have been another company up here, with their scores, and then our scores would have been, we'd have been on the row below it with lower scores.
We lost your camera a second ago.
Oh, that's fine.
Yep, no worries. Okay.
As long as you can see the screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's go back here. If you if you address every requirement in the request for proposal, you're going to get a green, which is acceptable. If you miss some of those, or they don't like some of your answers, you're going to get a marginal or unacceptable. That begs the question, wow, if you get a green, that means you met all the requirements. You provided a response that was acceptable to the government for every requirement that they had. How can you do better than that? Shouldn't that be your highest score? And it's not, because there's something called purple and blue ratings, good and outstanding. So how do you get a good or an outstanding rating? Well, you have to have evaluated strengths. So what is an evaluated strength? An evaluated strength is an aspect of an offer's proposal that exceeds requirements in a way that will be advantageous to the government. Basically, what that means is if you're exceeding requirements, that means you're providing things that weren't asked for, that adds value to the government, or you're providing more of something beyond what was asked for that adds value to the government. So, but the main way is to give them things that weren't asked for. So how do you do that? That's the game. How do you determine what would be valuable to the government that wasn't asked on the RFP, and you give it to them? The other thing is I'm going to move this red thing around. The other word is risk. How do you make yourself look extremely low risk? Because risk is half your score. This is your combined technical / risk rating. Risk is half your score. About 1% of the bidders out there know that. But it is. So we're talking about risk of unsuccessful performance is very low. For good, it's low. And here is no worse than moderate. So it's moderate or better for green. You have risk of unsuccessful performance is high for yellow, and red is just unacceptable. So risk is half your score. So, but what else is in there? Understanding of the requirements, understanding. So there are certain things that they're looking for when they evaluate your proposal that you've got to give them. And that's, there's no instructions in the request for proposal to tell you how to do that. It won't even ask. Demonstrate your understanding. It doesn't ask you to do that. You got to know. That's implicit in it. To be low risk, it'll never ask you, explain how you're low risk. But yet that's half your score. So these are these implied things that AI is not smart enough to pick up on. So let's get back to this. So let's get back to this this example. So now what I did is I decided that I was going to incorporate this into my proposal writing process. And let me see if I can pull up the process. I don't know if I've actually got the process. Let me see if I can find that somewhere.
That's an awesome slide.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. So what I did is I've created processes and templates that help me write a proposal. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger so everybody can see.
Yes, sir.
For every major group of requirements, single requirements, if they're big ones, or groups of requirements that are similar, I have an understanding section that I say for every single group of requirements or single requirement that I've got to write about, I got to demonstrate my understanding. How do I do that? I have to write my actual solution. I can't do what's commonly called a repeat back. Here's a simple requirement. This is actually for a janitorial services contract that I was collaterally involved with, and it was supposed to do work at an intel agency. So one of the requirements was ensure the facility is locked after completion of nighttime janitorial services. Now, again, 99% of bidders are going to say, Lazy Janitorial Services Incorporated will lock all doors at the completion of nighttime, of our nighttime janitorial services. So that's repeat back. Like, where's your solution? Where's your understanding of the requirement? So how do you demonstrate understanding? Well, what you want to do is you want to cite examples of GAO reports to Congress. Here's a good one. Federal facility security. Selected agencies should improve methods for assessing and monitoring risk. Hey, talking about relevant, you understand why this is so important that the doors are locked. Here's another thing regarding solution. Don't just repeat back that you're going to do it. Explain to them your approach to ensure that's going to happen. So your solution would be something like employee security training, both during orientation and annually thereafter. Provide all employees with a list of all access points to be locked and a tour to identify locations. Perform a 2-person lock procedure. One person locks and the other person checks it. Then after that's done, have a 100% quality inspection to ensure that all locks are locked every night by a third-party person, maybe the program manager. And how about this? What's the sense of locking the door if you're going to drop your keys and not even know that they're missing, right next to it? What about a key control program? Like, whoa, that was never even asked for. So you got to have a solution or approach. And then the other thing is you got to have proof points that you can deliver and that you're low risk. And then what are the benefits? Because a benefit very easily translates into an evaluated strength that's going to take you from green to purple to blue. What are your discriminators? What are your win themes? What are your source materials? Source materials, this is really good. If you want to demonstrate understanding, you just cite source material. Cite an instruction by that agency. And what value does your partners are providing you? Be sure to incorporate all of this. So I fill out a template for every single one of the requirements or requirement clusters in a proposal, because I'm not smart enough to read a request for proposal and then address it. Just start writing and answer it perfectly. If you do this, if you follow this right here, this template, the section writes itself. Here's another example. This is this is an actual, this is from a previous company I had. Contractor must use Arial font on all contract deliverables. That's so trivial, but yet look what you can do with even a trivial requirement. Understanding. We're going to use some source material here. Citation and examples of NASA's document management instruction dated 16 October 2014 lists customers and structure compliance requirement. Why else is this a requirement? Well, it actually streamlines correspondence sharing. It eliminates formatting issues. But the real reason is because NASA has a cultural issue, a culture of zero mistakes. And NASA has literally lost a satellite because of a missing semicolon. It's kind of like a famous case study that they have. There was a missing semicolon in code, that a company had written. It would still compile, but that missing semicolon caused that statement to continue on, and it didn't do what it was supposed to do because it did have a semicolon at the end of that statement. So again, if you demonstrate the understanding of why that exists, then you demonstrate your understanding of the culture and all those different things. So
Randy, we are sorry to jump in. We are in our last 45 seconds of this, because we were going to go a little bit shorter.
Oh, yeah. So the deal is so this is what I did. So this is my group. So this is my I followed a template. And instead of asking it to write, 3 pages, I asked it to write this one paragraph, the introduction, demonstrating our understanding of NAVSE 04's, culture, and mission. I asked, I got another temp, where I usually follow that up with, demonstrating our understanding of the mission that we're supporting them with and why that's so valuable. And I sicked AI onto this thing, and AI was actually finding articles written by the commanding officer of this organization.
Oh my gosh!
And we were citing him in Sea Power magazine. We were citing GAO reports. We were nailing this thing. It was doing call out boxes for us. Because I asked it to do a call out box. On this other one, there's not a single call out box. If you want it read and you want it, remembered, you put it in a call out box. Our solution is blown out, and what are we doing? We're citing documents, stating that our solution is highly effective. So those are our proof points. We're not just saying that we do this and it works. We got to highlight, call out box relating our project manager's qualifications to the requirements of this contract, and so on and so forth. And this is like, so then then I actually had to write a feature benefit, table, because feature benefits are basically your evaluated strength candidate. So this is a feature of our solution. There's the benefit, there's supporting statements, and here's a proof point. So, this right here, so the bottom line is I ended up using AI to write as good as 3 pages of proposal content as I've ever written. And I did it in 30 minutes rather than the 2 weeks it would have taken me normally. So that is how effective it can be.
To check my understanding, yeah. So you used AI to do the legwork, right? And I know you, and I have a robust understanding of your experience. You were able to write that prompt from your $2 billion of proposal writing experiences, right? Summation of what you were saying. I'm fishing for a closing thought here.
Yeah.
AI does the legwork, but it doesn't do everything. You still got to know.
That's right. What you've got to do is AI has never made understanding how to write a proposal, effectively more important.
Oh my gosh. Oh, good point.
The deal is because that's the only discriminator you have, because everybody can put out a proposal now. You know what I mean? Even if they're lazy, they can still put out a proposal. So knowing how to write a good proposal will enable you to effectively use AI to make your proposals even better than what they were previously with a fraction of the time. So now it makes knowledge even more important, because you've got this powerful tool. It's just like, I will say it this way. It's like a leaf blower. If you, a leaf blower, a leaf blower gives you the ability to collect leaves and bag them up really, really quickly. But it also has the tremendous capability of blowing leaves everywhere. And if you don't know how to use that leaf blower in an organized way to be able to get it into a pile where you can put it into a bag, is making your work 10 times harder, because it is blowing leaves everywhere. And you can spend days trying to remove leaves using a leaf blower in your front lawn. Or if you know how to use it, you can do it within a matter of a couple of minutes. So it's like a leaf blower. It really is. So you gotta know how to actually, use it.
Where would somebody go to learn how to use it?
Government Contracting Academy. But well, I guess what I'm saying is, you got to, now knowledge is more important. However, AI really will, because like I said, what I just showed you, those 3 pages, that was a well-written 3 pages of proposal content. I've been in this industry for about a quarter of a century, and that was well-written. That would score highly. However, what that would have taken me, when I say 2 man weeks minimum, I mean, like, I'm not talking about 40-hour weeks either, because, when you're an entrepreneur, it's not a 40-hour work week. I'm talking about, that is probably 160 hours worth of work that would have produced, that you would needed to have researched NAVC. you've had to research all those different things, how ISO would have made you lower risk in that particular industry or niche, doing all those citations, all those proof points, creating those features and benefits. 160 hours, and I did it in 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Because I invested the effort to learn how to write a proposal, and then I also learned how to best apply AI to that process. Apply AI to your existing process. Don't ask for the free lunch and say AI do everything. It doesn't work that way. You got to have that human in the loop, and you got to understand the strategy. So that's the closing statement, I guess.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. I'm gonna post the link to GCA campus below this video if you agree, if that's a good idea. Because that one's
there's a lot of good content on that website too.
Yes,
like so I strongly encourage people to go there, and also encourage people to go to the to our at GovCon Academy YouTube channel, because there's just so much information available to you where you can pick up tidbits here and there. But I tell you, if you're new to this industry, or if you're really committed to being successful, you really have to have a holistic approach to your training. This is one of those things that you got to understand the whys you're doing things, not that you just have to do it. So it has to be more of an integrated, comprehensive approach. So,
oh my gosh, this was a great one. Holy cow! Thank you, Randy. This was awesome.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate this. So I'll see you next week.